Welcome to the Xuan character reviews. The intention of this video series is reviewing every single character from this game one by one, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And to do it with an order, I will divide the characters from this game in different phases, based on the times they arrived to the game and their general characteristics. Starting with Phase 1, the original 5. These were the first 5 characters available with the launch of the game, forming the first core of the roster. Let's learn more about them. And our first character is El Blue. So let's start with El Blue. This blue guy was supposed to be the main hero of the game, at least in the very beginning. But we will talk about that later. Right now, let's focus on the design. I gotta say, he's pretty much an original design. His clothes look pretty eccentric, but that was probably the idea, to make him the most original they could. Well, first we have him wearing a heavy blue tracksuit jacket. I find it pretty bulky and plain in design. He has sort of an urban graffiti letters on the sleeves, but the chest is plain, like there's something missing there. And it seems I'm right, since in most of his artworks they avoid showing it directly. But it doesn't ruin the effect. He complements his clothing with a pair of gloves, what actually goes right with the personality, as he is an antisocial guy, avoids human contacts, dirtying his hands, etc. The color palette is completed with the strips of yellow on his pants. Something very iconic of this character is that one of his pants cuffs is shorter than the other. Why? I doubt we will ever get an answer, but again, it doesn't ruin the balance. The tongue of his tennis shoes sort of compensates that. And next we have the extraordinary elements that sort of make a blue outstand. His gimmicks as a design if you want it that way. First, we are told this character loves music and consequently he always has these huge old-fashioned headphones, what helps to bring some urban flavor to his design and works quite right. And the other part is this belt the character carries with him. It's a metallic device that seems to contain his own arc reactor and it shines with a blue light. It completes the character connection with his hair, energy type, and so. Well, according to the plot, he is able to absorb energy from other EVA hybrids and probably from machines too. That's very unique since he is the only EVA hybrid that's stated in the story to be able to do that. Probably Brazel can too, but it doesn't say. The fact is that this dude is very much a squad leader for a sort of CIA operation agency. El Blue is pretty ambitious, he only wants more power and he could be able to do everything to win, thus it makes sense he carries an external energy source with him to increase his powers. And he is very much into it. He listens to electronic music, all his attacks had names like Uplink Short Circuit, Electric Charge Shift, Superconducting Storm Positive and Negative. He is very well rounded in concept and design. But I saved for the last part this character's disadvantage. And it is in the fact that, compared to other characters, especially the newer ones, the Blue's design is more artificial and harder to believe. What do I refer with this? Remember in the Leaked Characters video where I praised the fashion of hair and clothing, for example? Well, those new characters seem more grounded and more realistic, while El Blue is pretty hard to believe. I mean, his hair looks like a blue pineapple, or a plastic mask that doesn't even move. It is dressed in a strange way that never messes. It always covers one eye, he has those spiky things on the back of his head, it just doesn't look natural. And while that doesn't make him a bad character, along with his personality that makes him look more stiff than the rest of the cast. Now about El Blue's alternate costume, I didn't like it at all. Although they seemed to want to give him a casual, more realistic style, it ended up looking very bland. The colors are too off and his hair, although more believable, it's very goofy. There's nothing to highlight in this costume, but one thing. This little element you see in his artwork that shows his belt held by a bolt with a pair of electrical pliers. Now this is what I was talking about, this is the only element of the costume that actually represents the character. It seems it is added to replace the arc reactor of the main design, and it's funny if you think about it. Just like this guy went out to the street wearing like any day, but still carried a little circuit with him in case of an emergency. This element is the only happy aspect of his alternate outfit. but otherwise this costume is absolutely unremarkable. And yes, I know it's modeled after Will's appearance from Advance Wars, but it just doesn't stand well on its own and doesn't look anywhere as cool as Will. As for the gameplay, I think Blue has pretty original fighting style and moveset, and it seems they put an extra effort on his originality as they wanted him to be the main characters. Most of his moves are not seen very often in other fighters, and I dare to say most of them are entirely brand new. His fighting style looks like inspired in Leona, you know, the cutting hands. I guess because he's a mercenary too. He also goes to include some sort of breakdance moves to his fighting style, in tune with his more urban fashion style. He has a truly great set of tools to put pressure and mix up in the game, and it's considerably difficult to deal with a good Blue player. As for Blue's personality, Blue was originally pitched as the main hero of the game, but in the end it turned out he wasn't precisely heroic. He is ambitious and a sort of cold and arrogant person, maybe even cruel. His voice is like very pompous, with some over-the-top and really presumptuous yells. And he likes to insult his opponent, even from the very beginning.
Let's go. Round one, fight!
In his bio, it seems like he's a sort of a snob, because he loves pasta restaurants and that. Of course, there's still something very cool about that.
Crush! Thunder! Slash!
But he's really more adequate as a foil than as the main hero. So in the end, I praise Blue for his concept that is very good and well rounded. The gameplay is cool and effective, relatively easy to get into, but also has good depth, perfect for a character for beginners, and able to rival with any other hero of this game. His design is also very good, the problem is that future characters may go more sophisticated paths. So this has been all for our first character review. I invite you to continue, as next time we're going to take a look on El Blue's nemesis, and I'm for sure talking about Brazel. See you on the next episode of my Xuan character reviews, and thanks for watching.
KO! Winner!